It is No Gifts, Please, the parenting podcast by the pair with no real gifts, but a whole lot of gumption. Hey, everyone, I'm Steve Noviello.
And I'm Jenny Anchondo.
It is so nice to see you.
You are fresh off of a school fundraiser.
Did you see the photos?
I mean, how could you not? It has to be the top trending social media photo for the last month.
So I will say, first of all, I was a big student council person in high school. I mean,
big shock,
right? Like, of all the things that don't surprise you. PTA is like student council for adults, and I am here for it.
This is the reason you had children.
This is the reason why we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars having children, just so I could hang out with the PTA moms.
Well, so I'm glad that it's happening. And is it everything you had hoped it would be?
It is more.
Oh.
It's more. It just is.
So how these school it's interesting because it's been school fundraiser season, and this will sort of ebb and flow throughout the districts, whether it's like public school or private school, or what part of the metroplex you're in, or different parts of the country do different things. But I've been noticing a lot of people have been at these, and I love a theme.
Well, and people leaned in. So last year the theme was everything's bigger at the name of our school, which was good, but like it was kind of like a Dallas theme, which was also great. But for like a lot of the men, like they would like you could do jeans, a button down, and a blazer, and a cowboy hat, and be totally on theme. Which most of these people wear to work anyway.
I was going to say that's what Heath wears
on
the rag.
This was 70s disco, and people really leaned in. Like really leaned in. The only downside was that I feel like we not only did we lean in, which was awesome, but like going up to people and saying hello, it took them a minute to realize who I was. It's like that they knew me.
Totally fair.
Because I had like full on like long hair, glasses, mustache, like gold chain, like, the chest hair.
Doug, did you take convincing or was he?
No. So let me just say, I was like, because last year I was like, okay, I'm going to order, I'm going to do, da-da-da. He, all on his own, got on to wherever the heck he ordered his stuff from. I mean, right down to the glitter gold high top sneakers that he wore. And I was like, A+ for you. Now, he was in an Uber home within an hour of us getting there.
That's
but
fine. No, it's fine. He got the photos. He did what he needed to do.
We did a pre-party at our house. Right?
Oh my gosh! Invited the moms over, or like everybody?
We invited the gay
couples?
dads over.
Okay, either whatever.
But close enough.
Yeah.
So that's 2 hours. Then I got another hour with him at the event. So I mean, and I think
it's all a man can ask for.
I mean, come on. And then of course I was free to go and like socialize with the moms. And it was funny because people were like, "Well, where's Doug?" And I would be like, "Oh, I'm like, he hopped in an Uber like an hour ago." And 9 times out of 10 of the couple that I was talking to, the husband would be like, "Wait a minute,
that's an option."
Well, that's an option.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have it figured out. Like you don't have you're not resenting him. Like you're excited. You're actually kind of fine. Like good, he's taken care of.
You're good.
We got our photo op. Our fundraiser is also in this same era, except for that my husband purchased tickets for Monster Jam instead.
Can I go with you?
Can I go?
Is it done? When is it?
No, it's not done.
I'll go with you.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, what? And the theme is all that glitters, and I'm like, this is so perfect.
Seriously.
And now Monster Jam.
Yeah.
But that's the case.
All right, so I'll be your guest. We have a guest today.
Yes, and it's somebody that you and I both hung out with our kids several years ago, and we had such a fun experience.
It was during COVID when we were like, "Oh my God, we gotta get out of this house."
Like, what
please.
Can we do
and they
that's
were so
super
kind to us.
safe, where everybody's vaccinated? We're like, let's take them to the fire department. That seems safe. So Chris Betcher is here from the Dallas Fire Department, and I have to get the like the station and everything right, Chris.
Yeah, which firehouse?
Tell us those details.
I work at Fire Station 18, right in the middle of downtown, right across from the World Aquarium.
Oh, that's right by my work. Yeah,
yeah. That's where you came that one day.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, that's where we had the tour.
And and tell us your official title for people that know.
I'm a driver engineer, so my job is I drive the ladder truck there. So every shift I come in, I get to drive the big truck with the big ladder on it.
Okay, so speak trivia. Do you know the difference between fire engine and fire truck?
I mean, I so should, right? I mean,
we learned it during the.
That's right.
We learned it.
That's
so
right.
One has water and one has ladders.
Right. So your fire engine has hoses, has water. So their main job at a fire is they go inside, they spray water, put the fire out.
Yeah.
As a ladder truck, we're like a giant toolbox when we show up. So we got ladders. We do all the forcible entry. We do the search and rescue. We do the ventilation. That's the kind of jobs that we do when we show up.
I'm going to lock it in this time. I'm going to lock it in.
Yep. And let me also say, and thank you. I don't know if it's you guys that shop there, but certainly the guys at the location on Cedar Springs. When I go to Kroger with my kids and the fire truck is there. I mean, first of all, the firefighters are so kind, and the boys get so excited that a real life fire truck is there, and they get to see I mean, a little off topic, but I cannot imagine what shopping is like, food shopping is like for the firehouse.
Right. Like my station, we have 14 people on shift every day. And then if we get a paramedic intern or two, there's 16. So we're shopping every day for them. And just like you see, people see us at the grocery store and they're like, why are you guys here every day?
They are like literally, it's so true. Nobody grocery shops
every day
more than a firefighter. It's like they are always there. And then if you've ever been there around mealtime, which I have been able to be a couple times, I mean, really, you guys eat well.
What's for dinner tonight?
I'm making, I don't really know what it's called. So I'm doing I'm taking croutons and crushing them and battering chicken with it and frying it.
Oh, nice.
So then I'm doing like a Rotel cream cheese, corn, and mashed potatoes.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Do the families ever come and just like join in?
We at my station on my shift, we like to do Sundays as a family day. So we have
nice.
all the family come up, the kids come up, we'll cook. They get to hang out with us at the station there, eat with us. So
That's so sweet. Okay, Steve had the idea to have you come in and talk about fire safety because this is like one of those things. It sort of seems obvious, and then when you go down the run of like, what should we be doing? I don't know that it's that obvious.
Are you doing? We're doing nothing. We have no plan.
This is it, right?
Wait,
this is my plan.
right.
As Chris came over, like,
I bet you guys are actually doing more than what you think you're doing.
Okay, so let's kind of start with the basics for people that are tuning in, because I'm reading a lot of stuff online. What I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Should doors be closed? Should doors be open? Should the kids know where the ladders are? All that other kind of stuff. So bare minimum, where do people even begin when it comes to home fire safety?
Well, what you just said right there, doors shut.
Okay.
Fire needs oxygen to breathe. So you shut that door, that cuts off oxygen for it. So that whole room in front of you can be on fire. If you're in there, it's keeping the fire from in there. Of course, it's going to get smoky. Eventually, the fire is going to get in there, but it's going to protect you until we get there. Living in the city of Dallas, I think the national average for a response time for a firefighter, for a fire department is around 5.5 minutes. I think we're around 3.5 minutes response. So
really?
In the city of Dallas, we're very quick to get there. So just those little tips right there can save you.
And when they talk about that, because that's about a 2-minute difference from the national average, and what's the statistic? A fire doubles in size every what? Like minute?
Every minute. It's doubling. It's getting bigger. So
I got to say, I get nervous about sleep. Do you use Brighton? Well, I mean, the baby, but do the girls sleep with the doors shut?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh, really? See, we don't. Our bedroom is about 5 feet from our son's, and our doors are open and theirs are open. And I think a lot of parents fall into the trap of, I want to hear them. What if they need something?
Now they got those real nice baby monitors that you can put in your room. It's got video. So
that's what we do. We still have a monitor and a multi-tiered alarm system.
So it's better than leaving that door open and
oh, that's going to be tough though for the boys, don't you think?
Right, because we've never done it. I feel like now they're going to be like, ooh.
But they have each other.
They do have each other. And and then I get nervous, honestly, if there is a fire in another room, and again, they're in a hallway, and now I'm like swinging their door open, like in my mind, I'm like affecting the airflow of the entire house, and now I'm welcoming the fire to where we are.
I mean, it's not going to be that quick. So if you open the door, get in, get out, shut that door. Windows is your secondary egress. There should always be 2 egresses to get out, somewhere to get out.
Okay.
A lot of people, especially older houses, they never open their windows. They never check them.
Yeah.
So
they
those things,
really
they swell
stuck.
and you're not able to open them, especially for a child. There's no way they can open them.
Yeah, there's a lot of houses and we've lived in them because we used to live in Kessler Park, which in a 100-year-old house. And one of the best things we ever did was redo the windows. Now the neighborhood we live in, again, our house is 1930 something. The first thing we did is replace all the windows. But to your point, a lot of these, especially with these older wooden windows, they have been painted shut a million times over the years. And even if they haven't been painted shut, the wood swells, right?
Exactly.
It's hard to get them open.
Exactly.
So what do we do?
Periodically go in there and open them and check them, make sure they're sliding. Use some kind of lube on them. So you can use some kind of graphite. WD-40 you really don't want to use. I'm not trying to talk bad about you. WD-40, it gunks up a lot.
Okay.
So, initially it'll work real good, but it attracts dirt and gunks up. So then if it's not being used, you get that where it blocks it.
Okay, so when it comes to, let's kind of talk about equipment for a second. So smoke alarms in the house, where do they go?
Anywhere. Every bedroom where someone's sleeping, there needs to be one, and then the hallway leading to it. And then, there's family dynamics where it might be large families living in the house, or you get mad at your husband and you're kicking him out every night and he's sleeping on the couch. People that sleep in those areas.
If he's going to be kicked out, he still needs an alarm out there.
He needs an alarm out there. And if you have gas appliances in your house, you need a carbon monoxide detector also. Carbon monoxide detectors, same place, right next to where your fire alarms will be.
And do you?
Multiple. We need multiple carbon.
Right. Yeah.
Well, a lot of these are 2-in-1 nowadays, right? The smoke alarm and CO2 detectors.
Yep. And we get calls a lot for people like, man, my carbon monoxide detector's going off. We're like, well, where's your gas at? We're like, well, we're all electric. I'm like, well, it's your battery is going dead, and it's nothing to do. You have no carbon monoxide in your house.
So when we talk about, I know for
oh gosh, okay, that sounds like a call I would make.
Right. When we talk about fire safety in homes, I know for us, we did like when the kids were little, we've put them on since, and they luckily have not touched them. But we were doing things like removing the knobs off of our
childproofing them,
right? Our stovetop because it was gas. I mean, should people be doing that kind of stuff or?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, we've had actually several fires lately where people are coming home, putting their groceries or whatever on top of the stove. Their cat or their small dog is jumping up there, hitting the knobs, and next thing you know, they got a big fire.
I'm totally guilty of that. Our kitchen island is a lot of it is taken up by the cooktop, and I'm constantly putting stuff on top of the cooktop that I shouldn't be.
Yeah, and just like I said, like if your kids can't get to it, or if you've got small animals that's jumping up there or not jumping up there, then it probably wouldn't be that big of a problem there.
But what's the fix? The fix is just putting your stuff on there?
We took the knobs off. That way the kids, way you can't.
But how do you turn it on? Just like little
Well,
bitty?
you either go into the closet and get the knob, or we actually just did like little bitty, like you just grab the little thing and manipulate it.
Sounds a lot easier just not put anything on there.
I mean, well, but
it's a lot easier to not have a cat.
Our concern was more like the boys would see doing this, the fire comes on, and would they then want to mimic that?
Yeah,
that
and so a lot of common fires are from that right there. So cooking, leaving candles.
Well, you said Lee Harvey's just had a big fire, right? From
Lee
cooking.
Harvey's did it. Cooking. They think I'm not the arson investigator, but just preliminary when they're out there, they think they might have put too many briskets and stuff in there on the smoker. Then all that fat dripping in there is what caused it.
Wow.
Okay, so Texans need to beware. Like a lot of brisket cooking around here.
For sure.
What about things like ladders? I remember that being like a big discussion back in elementary school, and I don't know if that's still
chain
something
ladders that you hang out the window.
Should have.
I've always heard about those. I've never actually seen one in real life.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because how many kids are going to crawl out that ladder?
Yeah,
there's not very many. That
we had one in our hall closet upstairs. When I was growing up, all the bedrooms were upstairs, and there was one of those ladders that was like a chain. You were hanging up. Luckily, we never had to use it, but I remember knowing that it was there. But the thing that we did do when we were a kid, like the regular alarm, like the house alarm would go off. It would go off. My sister and I would come out of our bedrooms and then run to my parents' room. But then sometimes it would happen so often that we would ignore it, and that's one of the most dangerous things.
Complacency kills.
Yeah,
complacency kills.
So when it comes to fire alarms in your house, I've read that there's kind of two different kinds of conventional wisdom here. One, the traditional alarm, and then two, my boys, they're 5 and 7 at this point. There could be like a nuclear war and they would sleep through it.
Right.
But I'm reading that what they won't sleep through, though, is the sound of my voice. So there are a lot of these things on the market that let you record your voice as the fire. Is there any?
I haven't, for homes, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
So, that's just something I haven't seen. But, like for your office buildings and stuff like that, it's the same thing, getting on the PA system or the recorded system. So I'm sure there is stuff out there for the house
you'll listen to your boss.
Yeah.
If your boss's voice comes on.
Do you remember when we used to work together and that thing would go off
all the time?
Constantly.
All the time.
And people wouldn't even flinch.
Right.
Not even flinch.
Well, you can't, we literally don't have time for this. I don't know. I've got a script due. We're going on here in 45 minutes.
For sure.
Yeah. So we wouldn't do anything. The same thing at my current station. Yes. They test very frequently. And so you're just kind of, there. So for the kids, we're closing the door. We're making sure carbon monoxide and alarm duo, hallway and room. The ladder, it seems like not a huge deal.
Right. So just make sure you check the windows, make sure they're working. Teach kids touch a doorknob. Yeah. Open the windows, definitely, for sure. But even every day, checking, when they put their hand on the doorknob, is that doorknob hot? If it's hot, I'm not going out that door. I'm finding another way out. Teach them not to hide under a bed, hide under a closet if there's an emergency right there. If they can't get out for any reason, stay close to that window. That's where, if we come in, we're coming in, we're going to sweep that window right away.
Okay.
So let's talk about that, because I read a lot about, and we have never had one, home fire drills with the family.
Absolutely. So as a general rule, you should be checking your smoke detectors twice a year. So whenever the time changes,
daylight savings.
Yes,
right?
you need to change. You need to check the batteries in your
The batteries won't just go like beep and then you change them then when they beep. Or
well, then they're going dead at that point. And
so
then
they might not
by
have
that
worked
time,
if
you
it
know
happened that
you're
day.
beeping, and then you're like, man, I got a million other things to do, and you just don't go and change it. So you're at home irritated that it's going off, but you're not taking the time to actually change it.
So proactively change it for
Absolutely.
daylight when the clock adjusts.
Exactly.
Twice a year.
And then do fire drills. If you got elderly people, young kids living in the house, that'd be a good time to do a drill.
Okay, so let's kind of talk about what that looks like with the kids. So I'm setting up a plan. Is it, hey kids, here's how? What am I telling them? Come, because their instinct, I think, is going to be to come get a parent.
Right.
Is it go downstairs out the front door? I mean, how do you mitigate for real life?
Right. So, a 2-story house makes it a lot more difficult because we're telling you to stay inside, right? So if they're touching that doorknob, the doorknob side is not hot. They're able to open that door and they're able to see out that door, make their way, staying low. Heat and smoke rise, so your fresh air is going to be low. So, play army with them. Hey, let's do the army low crawl here, out to the door, out to the stairs, going down the stairs to get out of the house.
Out the front door.
Right. And then you need to find a meeting place, whether it's the next door neighbors, whether it's a tree, mailbox, somewhere like that. Not. I wouldn't go close to the street, because when we're coming in as firemen, we got a lot going. We're looking for all this, and God forbid,
somebody, a little guy or little gal is standing out there. That's a really good point.
Right. And with kids also, make sure they know their address, because if something happens to you, they can't wake you up. And now that they're like, hey, the house is filling with smoke, when they call 911, they need to know what their address is.
It's a different scenario too with calling 911, because before we all had landlines, right? And now it's like, I've shown Brighton the emergency button on a cell phone, and then she has like this little portal thing that could call, but they don't have access to just like a landline like they normally would.
To pick up. I'm just thinking about that. Like my kids don't know the code to my phone to call 911.
Well, but you can still do emergency.
And I've never shown them. Well, I'm saying I've never shown them the SOS on
it.
I mean, I feel like Jacob could probably figure it out. Like he actually probably does know the code. And you don't know that he knows the code.
If it's electronic, your kids figure it out.
And
they know way before you do.
Also, I think Hudson would actually go down the ladder.
Yeah, Hudson would go down the ladder for sure. Well, luckily, and your house is kind of the same way. Their bedroom is at the end of a hallway. You go right down the hallway, right down the stairs, and right out the door. I mean, there's no you don't get through our house, right, to get out of it. So, and I do like the idea also of the meeting place. I think that's something that people forget about.
And I think today's time, a lot of people are so busy they don't get to know their neighbors.
Oh,
so,
completely.
Yeah. So try to make a point to get to know your neighbor on each side of you. Let your kids meet them and know them, so it's not the stranger danger during the middle of the night. When they go there, they can like, hey, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, whoever, we got a problem right here. And that way they can help take care of them. They can call 911, whatever they need to do, and they're not out running around.
So when we're practicing the fire drill, and I'm assuming a couple of times a year, maybe
twice a year,
maybe so daylight savings as well. Are we doing it like, okay, kids, here we go, fire drill, middle of the day, or is it like, hey, it's middle of the night and we're going like full on?
I mean, if you really want to do it right, it's full on, middle of the night. So you practice as you play. So if you can give them the middle of the night, I probably wouldn't wait 12, 1 o'clock at night.
Right.
But, let them get to sleep for an hour.
8 p.m. is middle of the night for them.
Right, exactly.
Right, like
so that way they're groggy, and that way, you'll see, once you practice it a couple times, it's like anybody else. Their brain's a sponge. You can see them. It'll kick in. You're like, man, I've been teaching them right. They're doing it.
And when it comes to, because you mentioned like things that, kind of start as small fires and stuff, is there a threshold between like fight the fire and get out of the house?
That's going to be a judgment call.
Okay.
So if you have a fire extinguisher in your house, which everybody should have a fire extinguisher in your house, and if you do, you can check with your insurance company, because a lot of insurance companies will actually give you a discount for having an and they're pretty inexpensive. You go to Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever.
Yeah, you can even get them on Amazon.
Yeah, they're real cheap.
Well, and even those expire, right?
They do expire. Well, they're supposed to be rechecked every couple of years and stuff like that. But even so, $25. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Throw it away, get you a brand new one and stuff. But yeah, if it's a small fire that you can control, go ahead. Make sure your family's out though, because it will. when you put that fire, it is going to get real smoky from like that.
You also have to have access to it too, because I'm wondering if there should be a certain square footage. You should have multiple fire extinguishers, right? I mean, because I'm thinking, okay, I know that we've got the one, but would we necessarily be able to access it?
So most people will have them right near the kitchen, because that's where most of the time your fires are going to start, right there.
Well, and familiarity with how to use it, because again, in the moment your house is on fire and you're like, all right, pull the pin, whatever. You know, and it may have been with your department, it may have been in another station I was with. We were like at somewhere we were set up in a parking lot, and we set pan fires and asked passersby to put them out with a fire extinguisher. And a lot of people use the fire extinguisher in a way that actually made the fire spread.
Absolutely.
People really don't realize. So how do you use a fire extinguisher correctly?
So where do I point? Pull, aim, and squeeze right at the base of the fire, right there.
Did you know that?
Did not.
I think a lot of people think, okay, I'm just going to...
I probably would have gone for the flames, even though when you think about it, it doesn't make sense.
Well, you know, Hollywood messes up a lot of people, because, you know, anytime you see a Hollywood firefighter movie, they're all like all over with everywhere like that. Yeah. But that's not, you know, the fire's not going to go out that way.
Firefighter calendars.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's actually not how you do it.
I mean...
So.
Okay. I feel like... Sorry, that's just what I was picturing.
Distracted by the firefighter calendars now.
That's just what I'm picturing. Is like they show just like
I say putting fire out, and she's like a calendar.
Right. She's like,
don't have a lot of real world
big hose
experience with this. Oh man. Okay, Chris. I feel like we're a little bit more empowered. Are we empowered? Do you feel like, are you going to do?
Yes, well, for sure. But I do want to ask real quick about so fire safety. I know that you guys are very kind. We were able to go to the firehouse. I mean, is that something that you do? I know, like our Boy Scout troop, we go, but for the general family who might want to make their children more familiar with firefighters,
if it's your neighborhood fire station, I'd say go by there and knock on the door. You know, it's our home too. So if it's right around breakfast time, lunchtime, you know, try to be respectful. Also, you know, they'll be happy to go out there, but be respectful, because you're like, for our dinner, it'll take us several times. We're reheating over and over because you're constantly getting calls. So if you got a few minutes, you're able to actually sit down and eat. That's nice also. But also, we don't mind if someone comes up. We don't mind showing them around and talking to them either. So.
Yeah.
He's like, don't everybody come to my station.
Not at
Go
dinner.
to your neighborhood station.
Yeah.
The one in your neighborhood. Yeah, just to have some familiarity and just sort of take away some of the fear from the kids, maybe empower them a little bit.
And that's another thing also. Like, that's why I was telling you, know, tell them not to hide under the bed, in the closet, because it's scary. You come in, because it's complete darkness. We're coming in. We got all that stuff on, and all you hear, when we're talking. So that's scary. Even as an adult that's in that kind of environment, that's scary. So.
And our kids are getting so many drills now at school, so many emergency preparedness drills, and many of them do involve hiding or getting away from, you know, whatever the thing is.
Your active shooter drills and stuff like that. Right. Yeah.
And those are very frequent. So that behavior is so rooted in them now that it's like for a fire, the behavior is totally different. So we've got to kind of reinforce that.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And we talk about with our kids when they do active shooter, and it's like, hide, be quiet, don't let anybody see you. Even if somebody says, I'm coming, like, you know, let me in, never let them in, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's totally different in a fire.
Right.
Wow, that's a good
point.
point.
Because
we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you got to think like a general person, generally not going to be inside the fire, like saying, hey, come with me or whatever. So it's they'll know. Like I said, you might only be able to see shadows, but you'll be able to see like, hey, they got some kind of suit on, and you hear us breathe like, and we're all muffled whenever we're talking. So
have you ever been? You've done well. I'll talk to you about it in a second, but let me let you go first. Is there a is there a website people should go to for fire safety tips or anything that you guys recommend?
You can go to DallasFireRescue.com. Okay. We have a fire prevention, education, inspection department. It does an amazing job. I know for schools and stuff like that, they have the little house that they'll take out, and they'll do drills and stuff with them right there. But they can get you all the education that you need, the materials and stuff.
Well, we certainly appreciate you being here. I mean, absolutely. I think it's a huge game changer for folks. And again, something that I don't think a lot of people think of. I mean, I know I'm aware that I should be doing it, but to your point, it just gets pushed on my list, right? I got to make dinner. I don't have time to do a fire drill here. You know,
exactly.
There are immediate things in my...
People are busy these days. Yeah. They're busy. But you know, when you keep putting off everything because I'm so busy, then something bad happens. Then you go back and you're like, man, I could have took that extra 10, 15 minutes and did this.
All right.
You're
we
so
have to do
right.
it.
Chris,
So,
thank you
thank
so
you so much
much.
for being
And just
here.
thanks to our firefighters here locally too for all they do. I love that stat about our high response times. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chris.
absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Have you been before, like out to the burn, like, they like full on firefighter?
I haven't been.
Oh my God,
I
it's the
haven't
best.
been personally.
It's the best.
But yeah, I've just anchored coverage while people have been doing it, and it's always very interesting. And we've, you and I have both covered some major tragedies.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Seen the potential impact. So I'm like, man, this reminds me we're going to do the fire drill.
Well,
He's
yeah.
going to be so annoyed by it because I'm always coming home with these things of
These
like,
tasks.
I heard a thing or I read an article about, or I, just thought that we should do this. And he's like, oh my gosh, just let me live.
I just saw a picture of him in a towel, shirtless on Instagram. So I'm assuming he's got some downtime. What was that all about?
Oh yeah, he was swimming. We had ducks in our pool. We've
That's
got
right,
some
'cause it's
winter,
90 in February.
some nice winter weather here. So yes, he's out swimming and heating the pool, or not heating the pool.
we've
Who
been
knows?
out, and I don't know if this is what it's called, but it's like their live burn facility. It's like a concrete 3-story structure, and you suit up with that equipment, and it's so heavy, and the mask and the whole thing.
Oh,
And,
the equipment is very
and then they
heavy.
set it on fire and put you. It was nuts.
It has to be scary. I mean, I was just picturing when he was saying the mask and everything. I was like, man, that's a scary profession.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a fire safety plan
Well,
in
you
our
do
home.
now. Do you
We
have one
now
now in your head?
I do,
Me
especially
too.
again. Ours is and you guys all sleep on the
Yeah.
first floor of your home.
Closing the door.
You've
You've got to close the door.
That's going to be rough.
We're gonna have to check in with you guys and see how that's going. But the boys do have each other.
They do, yeah,
You know,
yeah. No,
they
for
didn't.
sure.
They probably don't want that door. They're
Well,
like,
and
"Leave us
honestly,
alone."
they're so good. They are fast asleep by the time I go to sleep, so I could always just go in there and shut it after.
That's
they fall
true.
asleep.
And
Yeah.
just let them know ahead of time.
Right.
Like let them know
Right.
leading up to it. Hey, this is what's starting tonight. You guys can go to bed like this. If you wake up and the door's closed, that's just because, daddies are protecting you and, all that kind of stuff.
All right. We'll have to add. We'll add the link.
agenda.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll add the link to the resource that he gave in the comment section of this week's episode. And we want to remind you to tune in for a new episode every Tuesday morning at 7:00 when a new one drops. You can of course listen to us wherever podcasts are available, and always on YouTube. And if you do nothing else today, make sure you go find yourself a friend you don't need to clean the house for. We'll see you next time.